Welcome to HFY Stories. If you're ready for jaw-dropping stories and a universe full of excitement, hit that subscribe button like it's the big red button in a space opera. Give us a like if you're feeling that interstellar vibe and comment below to join the conversation. We want to hear from you. Yes, you, the spacefarer with a great story idea or just a fan of epic human victories. The arrival of the humans. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Talmorians prided themselves on being the most advanced species. With technology that could manipulate gravity, control the weather, and heal any wound, they saw themselves as the true masters of the stars. For centuries, they had watched other species struggle to attain even a fraction of their capabilities, always staying one step ahead. But all that changed when the humans arrived. Captain Rilan of the Talmorian Empire had heard rumors of these new beings. Whispers echoed through the corridors of power about a species that defied logic, beings that wielded technology so advanced it seemed indistinguishable from magic. The humans were arriving on the galactic stage, and they were causing quite a stir. Rilan's ship, the Celestial Blade, had been ordered to observe the humans from a distance. Officially, the mission was to monitor their activities, but Rilan knew the truth. The Talmorian Council was afraid. Afraid of what these space wizards might bring to the galaxy. The first human ship they encountered was unlike anything Rilan had ever seen. It was sleek, almost organic in design, with shimmering patterns of light dancing across its surface. It moved with a grace that belied its size, gliding through space as if it were an extension of the void itself. "Captain, the human vessel is hailing us," his communications officer reported, a hint of nervousness in her voice. On screen, Rilan ordered, hiding his own apprehension. The image that appeared on the view screen was that of a human woman, her eyes a striking shade of green, with an aura of calm confidence that unsettled Rilan. She introduced herself as Captain Alina Marlowe, and her voice carried a warmth that contrasted with the cold void of space. "Greetings, Captain Rilan," she began, her tone friendly yet firm. "We mean you no harm. We are here to explore, to learn, and to share our knowledge with those who are willing." Rilan narrowed his eyes, studying the woman carefully. "What knowledge do you possess that could possibly interest the Talmorian Empire?" Alina smiled, and for a moment, Rilan felt a strange sensation, as if the very fabric of reality had shifted. "We have discovered ways to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe, Captain. We can bend space, alter time, and even control the very elements themselves. Some might call it magic, but we prefer to think of it as science beyond your understanding." The bridge of the Celestial Blade was silent, the crew hanging on every word. Rilan felt a chill run down his spine. This was not the response he had expected. The humans were not here to bargain or to beg for alliance. They were here to make their presence known, and they were not afraid to demonstrate their power. "And what do you seek in return?" Rilan asked cautiously. "Only cooperation," Elena replied. "We believe in the strength of unity, in the sharing of knowledge for the betterment of all. But be warned, Captain, if you seek to challenge us, we will defend ourselves, and our defense is formidable." Rilan's instincts screamed at him to tread carefully. The Talmorian Empire had never encountered a species that spoke with such confidence, such authority. It was as if the humans were not just another race among the stars, but something more, something greater. Before Rilan could respond, an alarm blared on the bridge. The sensors had detected an anomaly, a distortion in space-time that was rapidly approaching their position. "Captain, it's coming from the human ship," the science officer exclaimed, panic in his voice. Elena's image remained calm, her green eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "I suggest you hold on, Captain. This will be enlightening." And then, in an instant, everything changed. The stars around them twisted and blurred as if the very fabric of the universe was being rewritten. The Celestial Blade was engulfed in a wave of energy that defied explanation. The ship's systems flickered, the lights dimmed, and for a moment, Rillan felt as though he was being pulled into a different dimension. When the wave passed, the ship was intact, but the crew was in shock. The view screen showed the human vessel, now surrounded by a shimmering aura of light. The stars had returned to their normal state, but Rillan knew that something profound had just occurred. "What? What did you do?" Rillan demanded, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and awe. Elena smiled again, and this time there was a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Just a little demonstration, Captain. A taste of what we are capable of. I hope you now understand the gravity of the situation." Rillan did. The humans were not to be underestimated. They were, as the rumors suggested, space wizards, beings who could bend the very laws of physics to their will. The Talmorian Empire had encountered a force unlike any they had ever known, and Rillan knew that this was only the beginning. As the human ship prepared to depart, Elena left Rillan with a final message. "We will be watching, Captain. The galaxy is vast, and there is much to learn. But remember this: we are here to build, not to destroy. Let us hope your empire chooses the path of wisdom." With that, the human vessel vanished into the void, leaving the celestial blade and its crew to ponder the implications of their encounter. As Rillan sat in his command chair, he realized that the galaxy had changed forever. The humans had arrived, and they were here to stay. And with them came a power that could reshape the very fabric of reality itself. But Rillan couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the humans than they had revealed. He knew that this was only the beginning of a much larger story, one that would unfold in ways he could not yet comprehend. The Talmorian Empire had been challenged, and Rillan was determined to understand the true nature of these so-called space wizards. The fate of the galaxy might very well depend on it. The power within. Elena Marlowe leaned back in her captain's chair, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. The demonstration had gone exactly as planned. The Talmorians had been given a glimpse of human power, just enough to unsettle them, but not enough to provoke outright hostility. It was a delicate balance, one that Elena had mastered over years of navigating the treacherous waters of interstellar diplomacy. "Status report," she ordered, her voice calm and commanding. "All systems are green, Captain," her first officer, Commander Malik, replied. "The Talmorians are still in shock, but they haven't made any aggressive moves." "Good. Let's keep it that way." Elena's eyes flicked to the viewscreen, where the Talmorian ship was still visible, its sensors undoubtedly scanning them for any clue to the source of their power. The truth was, the humans' abilities were not as mysterious as they seemed. Their so-called magic was the result of advanced technology that had taken centuries to develop. But there was more to it than that, something deeper, something that even the most advanced species in the galaxy could not fully comprehend. Elena had always been drawn to the mysteries of the universe. As a child, she had devoured stories of ancient civilizations, of lost knowledge and hidden powers. When she joined the United Earth Federation, it was with the hope that one day she might unlock the secrets of the cosmos. And she had, but the cost had been high. The power that humans wielded was not just a product of technology. It was the result of a unique connection to the fabric of the universe itself. A connection that few could understand, let alone control. Elena had been one of the few chosen to undergo the process, to become a conduit for this power. It had changed her, in ways that she was still coming to terms with. But she had no regrets. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and humanity needed every advantage it could get. The power within her was both a gift and a burden, one that she bore with pride. As the celestial blade moved out of range, Elena allowed herself a moment of reflection. The Talmorians were formidable, but they were not the only threat in the galaxy. There were others, far more dangerous, who would stop at nothing to seize the power that humans now possessed. And then there was the matter of the Council, the secretive organization that had overseen the development of this power, that had chosen Elena and others like her to be its guardians. The Council had its own agenda, one that did not always align with the interests of humanity as a whole. Elena had always been loyal to the Council, but recent events had made her question their motives. The more she learned about the true nature of their power, the more she realized how dangerous it was, not just to their enemies, but to themselves. The Council had promised that the power would be used for the greater good, that it would help humanity achieve its rightful place among the stars. But Elena had seen the lengths they were willing to go to in order to protect their secrets. And she knew that there were forces within the Council that were not as benevolent as they appeared. As the celestial blade entered warp space, Elena's thoughts turned to the future. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change. But with great power came great responsibility, and Elena was beginning to wonder if they were truly ready for the challenges ahead. There was one thing she was certain of, though: the Tarmorians and the rest of the galaxy would soon learn that humans were not to be underestimated. They were not just another species in the vast expanse of the cosmos. They were something more, something that the galaxy had never seen before. They were space wizards. But the question remained, what would they do with that power? And more importantly, what would the galaxy do in response? As Elena pondered these questions, she received a message from the Council. It was encrypted, as always, but the urgency was clear. There was a new mission, one that required her unique abilities. It was a mission that would take her to the heart of the galaxy, to a place where few dared to venture. Elena felt a surge of anticipation. This was what she had trained for, what she had sacrificed so much for. The galaxy was full of mysteries, and she was determined to uncover them all. But even as she prepared for the journey ahead, a nagging doubt lingered in the back of her mind. The power within her was growing, evolving in ways that she could not fully control. And she knew that sooner or later, she would have to confront the truth about what she had become. For now, though, there was work to be done. The galaxy was waiting, and Elena Marlowe was ready to answer the call. As the ship hurtled through the void, Elena's thoughts turned to the future. The Tarmorians were just the beginning. There were other species, other empires, who would soon learn the truth about humanity's power. And when they did, the galaxy would never be the same again. But that was a challenge for another day. For now, Elena focused on the mission ahead, on the mysteries that awaited her in the depths of space. And with a final, determined nod, she gave the order to proceed. The humans were on the move, and the galaxy would soon feel the full force of their power. The Council's decree. Elena Marlowe stood in the heart of the Council chamber, a vast room carved from a single piece of obsidian, its walls lined with ancient symbols that pulsed with a faint, otherworldly light. The Council members, their faces hidden in shadow, sat in a semicircle before her, their eyes glowing with an eerie luminescence. "You have done well, Captain Marlowe," the voice of the Grand Chancellor echoed through the chamber, deep and resonant. "Your demonstration to the Tarmorians has sent a clear message to the galaxy. But there is more work to be done." Elena bowed her head slightly, acknowledging the compliment. "I am ready to serve, Chancellor. What is our next move?" The Chancellor's eyes seemed to pierce through her, as if seeing into the depths of her soul. "The time has come for humanity to take its place among the stars. But there are those who would oppose us, who would seek to destroy what we have built. They must be dealt with." A holographic map of the galaxy appeared before Elena, highlighting several systems in red. "These are the strongholds of our enemies," the Chancellor continued. "They are led by a coalition of species who fear our power, who would rather see humanity destroyed than allow us to ascend." Elena studied the map, noting the strategic importance of each location. "What is our plan of action?" "You will lead a strike force to these systems," the Chancellor declared. "You will demonstrate our power, as you did with the Tarmorians, but this time, you will leave no doubt as to our capabilities. The galaxy must understand that humanity will not be challenged." Elena felt a surge of adrenaline at the prospect of the mission. This was what she had trained for, what she had been chosen for. But even as she prepared herself for the task ahead, a small voice in the back of her mind whispered a warning. "The power within you is growing, Captain," the Chancellor continued, as if reading her thoughts. "You have become a conduit for forces that few can comprehend. But with that power comes responsibility. You must control it, harness it, and use it to achieve our goals." Elena nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. The power within her was both a blessing and a curse, a force that could shake the galaxy or destroy it. And she knew that the Council would not hesitate to eliminate her if they believed she had become a threat. "I will not fail," she vowed, her voice steady and resolute. The Chancellor's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Elena felt as though she was being tested, as if the Council was probing her very essence for any sign of weakness. But then the Chancellor nodded, seemingly satisfied. "See that you don't," he replied, his voice cold and final. "You are dismissed, Captain. Prepare your strike force and await further instructions." Elena bowed once more before turning to leave the chamber. As she walked through the corridors of the Council's headquarters, her mind raced with thoughts of the mission ahead. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and the enemies of humanity were numerous and powerful. But she had been given a gift, a power that could change the course of history, and she intended to use it. But even as she steeled herself for the coming battles, doubts lingered in her mind. The Council's motives were not always clear, and she had begun to question whether their goals aligned with the greater good. The power they wielded was immense, but it was also corrupting, and she had seen firsthand the lengths they would go to in order to maintain control. As she reached her quarters, Elena paused to look out at the stars, their distant light twinkling against the backdrop of the void. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, and she knew that her journey was far from over. There were still many questions that needed answers, and many dangers that lay ahead. But for now, she had a mission to complete. The Council had given her a task, and she would see it through to the end. She would lead the strike force, demonstrate humanity's power, and secure their place in the galaxy. But she would also keep her eyes open, her mind sharp, and her heart true. The power within her was growing, and she knew that one day it would come to define her. But she would not let it consume her. As she prepared for the mission ahead, Elena made a silent vow to herself. She would use her power for the greater good, to protect humanity and to bring peace to the galaxy. And she would do so with honor, integrity, and the strength of her convictions. For she was not just a soldier, not just a servant of the Council. She was a space wizard, a guardian of the mysteries of the universe. And she would not be swayed from her path. The Battle of the Five Suns. The celestial blade emerged from warp space above the binary star system known as the Five Suns, a region of space infamous for its treacherous gravitational fields and volatile solar flares. It was here that the coalition of species opposing humanity had made their stand, gathering their fleets in a final, desperate bid to halt the human advance. Elena Marlowe stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen as the enemy fleet came into view. Thousands of ships, representing dozens of species, filled the space before her, their weapons charged and ready to fire. It was a sight that would have struck fear into the heart of any commander. But Elena felt only calm determination. "All systems ready, Captain," Commander Malik reported, his voice steady despite the tension that hung in the air. Elena nodded, her mind already calculating the best approach. The enemy outnumbered them, but they lacked the one thing that humanity possessed: the power of the space wizards. "Deploy the fleet," he ordered. "Form a defensive perimeter around the celestial blade. I want all ships ready to engage on my command." The human fleet moved into position, their sleek, angular ships forming a protective barrier around the flagship. The enemy fleet responded in kind, their vessels spreading out to surround the humans from all sides. It was a classic standoff, each side waiting for the other to make the first move. But Elena had no intention of waiting. "Activate the Starforge," he commanded, her voice ringing with authority. The celestial blade hummed with power as the Starforge, a device of human design that harnessed the energy of the stars themselves, came online. It was a technology that the galaxy had never seen before, a weapon of unimaginable power. And it was about to be unleashed. "Target the lead ship of the enemy fleet," Elena ordered. "Prepare to fire." The crew worked with practiced precision, their hands moving swiftly over the controls as the Starforge locked onto its target. A beam of pure energy, brighter than the sun, shot out from the celestial blade, slicing through the void and striking the enemy ship with pinpoint accuracy. The effect was instantaneous. The enemy vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its debris scattered across the battlefield. But the power of the Starforge was not just in its destructive force. It was in its ability to warp the very fabric of space. As the debris of the enemy ship was pulled into the gravitational field of the nearest sun, the Starforge's energy triggered a chain reaction, causing the star to flare up in a massive solar storm. The shockwave rippled through the enemy fleet, throwing their ships into disarray as they struggled to regain control. Elena seized the opportunity. "All ships, engage," she commanded, her voice filled with determination. The human fleet surged forward, their weapons blazing as they closed in on the enemy. The battle was fierce, the void filled with the flashes of exploding ships and the streaks of energy beams. But the humans fought with a ferocity and precision that left their enemies reeling. Elena moved through the battlefield like a conductor leading an orchestra, directing her ships with a combination of tactical brilliance and the power of the space wizards. She could feel the energy of the Starforge coursing through her, amplifying her senses and allowing her to see the battlefield with unparalleled clarity. But even as the humans gained the upper hand, Elena knew that the battle was far from over. The enemy fleet was vast, and they were not without their own tricks. As she directed her forces, she sensed a disturbance in the energy field, a ripple that signaled the approach of something powerful. And then she saw it. A massive ship, larger than any she had ever encountered, emerged from the shadows of the five suns. Its hull was covered in ancient runes, and its weapons glowed with a dark energy that sent a shiver down Elena's spine. The enemy had brought their own space wizard to the battlefield. Elena knew that this was the true test. The Starforge had given her power beyond imagination, but it had also made her a target. The enemy commander had been waiting for this moment, and now they were ready to strike. But Elena was not afraid. She had been trained for this, prepared for this. She was a space wizard, and she would not back down. "Prepare the Starforge for full power," she ordered, her voice calm but firm. "We're going to take that ship down." The crew worked quickly, their movements synchronized as they readied the Starforge for its most powerful attack yet. Elena could feel the energy building within the ship, a force that was both exhilarating and terrifying. As the enemy ship approached, its weapons glowing with a dark energy, Elena took a deep breath and centered herself. This was it, the moment of truth. "Fire," she commanded, her voice echoing through the bridge. The Starforge unleashed its full power, a beam of energy that seemed to tear through the very fabric of space. It struck the enemy ship with a force that shook the entire battlefield, and for a moment, it seemed as though the ship would be destroyed. But then something unexpected happened. The enemy ship absorbed the energy, its runes glowing brighter as it channeled the power of the Starforge back at the humans. Elena's eyes widened in shock. This was a power she had never encountered before, a force that was equal to, or perhaps even greater than, the Starforge. But she could not afford to hesitate. The lives of her crew and the fate of humanity depended on her. "Devote all power to the shields," she ordered, her mind racing as she searched for a way to counter the enemy's attack. The celestial blade's shields flared to life, absorbing the brunt of the energy, but it was clear that they would not hold for long. The enemy ship was relentless, its dark energy lashing out like a predator cornering its prey. Elena knew she had to act fast. The Starforge was their greatest weapon, but it was also their greatest weakness. If the enemy could turn its power against them, they would be doomed. But then an idea struck her, a risky, dangerous idea, but one that just might work. "Deactivate the Starforge," she ordered, her voice filled with a mix of urgency and resolve. The crew hesitated, unsure of her command, but they obeyed. The Starforge's energy dissipated, leaving the ship vulnerable, but also free from the enemy's control. Elena focused her mind, reaching out with the power that had been growing within her. She could feel the energy of the galaxy, the ebb and flow of the cosmic forces that surrounded them. And she knew that she could harness that energy, just as she had done before. But this time, she would not rely on the Starforge. This time, she would rely on herself. With a deep breath, Elena channeled the energy of the five suns, drawing it into herself and then releasing it in a focused burst. The energy shot out from the celestial blade, striking the enemy ship with a force that sent shockwaves through the battlefield. The runes on the enemy ship flared bright for a moment, then dimmed as the ship's energy was drained away. The dark energy that had been threatening the humans dissipated, leaving the ship vulnerable. "All ships, target the enemy flagship," Elena commanded, her voice filled with the power of the galaxy itself. The human fleet responded with a coordinated assault, their weapons converging on the enemy ship. The combined firepower was too much for the ship to withstand, and with a final brilliant explosion, it was destroyed. The enemy fleet, leaderless and demoralized, quickly fell into disarray. The humans pressed their advantage, driving their foes back and securing victory. As the battle came to an end, Elena felt the energy within her begin to subside. The power of the space wizards had been tested, and it had proven itself more than a match for the galaxy's greatest threats. But she knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there were still many dangers that awaited them. And there was still much she had to learn about her own power, and about the forces that sought to control it. But for now, they had won. Humanity had won. And Elena Marlowe, Space Wizard, would continue to fight for the future of her people. The ascension of humanity. The council chamber was silent as Elena Marlowe stood before the assembled leaders of humanity. The Battle of the Five Suns had been a decisive victory, and the galaxy was now well aware of the power that humanity possessed. But with that power came new challenges, new responsibilities, and new dangers. "You have done well, Captain Marlowe," the Grand Chancellor said, his voice carrying a note of respect that was rarely heard in the Council. "You have secured humanity's place in the galaxy and demonstrated the power of the space wizards. But there is much more to be done." Elena nodded, her expression serious. She had learned much during her journey, not just about the galaxy, but about herself. The power within her had grown, evolved, and she knew that it was now time to fully embrace what she had become. "The galaxy is vast, and the threats we face are many," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "But humanity is ready. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the will to face any challenge. And with the power of the space wizards, we will not only survive, we will thrive." The council members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. They had always been wary of the power that Elena and others like her possessed, but they could no longer deny its importance. The Battle of the Five Suns had proven that humanity was no longer just another species in the galaxy. They were something more, something that the galaxy had never seen before. "We have decided," the Chancellor began, his tone careful, "to officially recognize the space wizards as a new order within humanity. You will have autonomy, the freedom to pursue your own goals, but you will also have the responsibility to protect our people and uphold our values." Elena felt a surge of pride at the Chancellor's words. This was what she had been fighting for, what she had been preparing for. The space wizards would no longer be a secret, a hidden force operating in the shadows. They would be recognized, respected, and given the authority they needed to protect humanity. But she also knew that with this recognition came new challenges. The galaxy was full of mysteries, And not all of them were benign. There were forces out there, ancient and powerful, that would see humanity as a threat. And the power within her, the power of the space wizards, was still something she did not fully understand. But she was not afraid. She had faced the galaxy's greatest threats and emerged victorious. She had learned to harness the power within her, to use it for the greater good, and she knew that she was not alone. The space wizards would stand together, united in their mission to protect humanity and to explore the mysteries of the galaxy. They would be a force for good, a beacon of hope in a galaxy that was often dark and dangerous. As Elena left the council chamber, she felt a sense of purpose and determination that she had never felt before. The future was uncertain, and the challenges ahead were great, but she was ready to face them. She was a space wizard, and she would not rest until humanity had secured its place among the stars. And as she looked out at the galaxy, she knew that this was only the beginning. Thus, the tale of the space wizards began, a new chapter in the history of humanity, filled with adventure, danger, and the promise of a brighter future. Elena Marlowe and her fellow space wizards would continue to explore the galaxy, to uncover its secrets, and to protect their people from the dangers that lurked in the darkness. But they would also be something more, a symbol of humanity's potential, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, there was still magic, still wonder, still the possibility of something extraordinary. And as long as there were space wizards, the galaxy would never be the same again.